Mariah Carey experienced a comeback in terms of her public persona this year. Don't believe me? Well, by the end of this video I'll convince you why. There are a number of reasons why this happened. Change of management.
A woman that's become, such a dear friend and a sister, and I say to myself, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
From 2014 to 2017, Stella, a former reality TV producer, was Carey's manager. Mariah met Stella through Brett Ratner, who directed numerous videos including Heartbreaker, Touch My Body and We Belong Together. Mariah's image during these years snowdived. She went from being a respected music icon to a tacky and tawdry reality TV star. The damage to her image cannot be undermined. Mariah was presented like a walking midlife crisis, and her manager Stella openly craved the spotlight and was featured heavily in interviews and on Mariah's dismal reality TV show, Mariah's World. It was also during this period that Mariah gave one of the most disastrous performances of her career at New Year's Eve. She didn't attend the vocal sound check and, due to technical difficulties, couldn't hear the music during the live performance.
And what it's like to wear an earpiece, right? So imagine that's no longer there, so you can't hear the music. So if you can't hear it, how can you sing to it? And my backup singers weren't even on the stage. Somebody moved them, so I couldn't even go over to their mic or their ears or any of that. If my ears were in, maybe I could have heard music and done a few ad-libs and done whatever, and then this show would have gone on.
Now, of course, you could argue that Mariah is a grown woman and can make her own decisions, and we shouldn't scapegoat Stella. However, all singers need the appropriate business infrastructure in place to support them. And many have argued that Stella took advantage of Mariah when she was in a vulnerable state after her divorce in order to gain fame, rather than carry out duties of a manager.
She had bad people around her, sometimes, because I met some of those people. And it messed her up for a bit, but she's still the Mariah Carey who started.
When the two split, Stella sued Mariah for breach of contract, a claim which was eventually settled.
She's my client.
Yeah.
She's my producing partner, which I joke and say she's my sister wife. We are ride or die. I have her back.
The former manager also threatened to expose Mariah's secrets. Soon Mariah opened up about her 2001 bipolar diagnosis and swiftly changed to legitimate management. This change is ultimately the catalyst to a series of choices that intersected in 2020, resulting in an image change for Carey.
No, and now she's better. She's back.
Yeah.
You heard about that, right?
Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact.
Go, Mariah, go.
Yeah, she's got she's back to her management team.
The Meaning of Mariah. Mariah's epic memoir became a New York Times bestseller in its first week, and it's not surprising why. I loved this book because it was not the typical tabloid tell-all. It strayed away from being a shallow gossipy read and was almost novelistic in its approach. The harrowing bio gives another dimension to Carey. It's honest, vulnerable, and entirely different to the diva persona she often displays. This felt like the real Mariah, warts and all, detailing a childhood defined by trauma. A youth that was tarnished by drugs, neglect, abuse, and existential questions regarding race and identity. Like when the curtain was pulled in The Wizard of Oz to expose the real man behind the grandiose image.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
This book felt like an insight into the person behind the diva. It humanised Mariah in a way that helped her image greatly. The Guardian summed this up by calling the book a fascinating read by a misunderstood diva, and went on to say that, yes, Mariah is a caricature, the embodiment of the demanding diva stereotype, but her memoir reveals that she's not just in on the joke, but peeling back the layers to deconstruct it. Mariah also released an audio version of the memoir that she reads in between clips of her singing important songs. And if anyone ever deserved a Grammy for Best Spoken Performance, it's Mariah on this tour de force effort. The Rarities. Mariah in the autumn released an interesting insight into the songs that never made the cut. On The Rarities, Carey went into the vault and collected songs over her 30-year career that were never included on her albums. Mike Wes in his review stated that a collection of unreleased songs and B-sides shouldn't be this good. And that's what's so important about this album. It highlights how capable Mariah is and always has been as a singer, a songwriter and a producer. A A highlight from this album is the track Loverboy with the original sample that was intended for it. An inclusion NME remarked was a delicious sense of revenge towards both J-Lo and Tommy Mottola, who stole ideas from Mariah in an attempt to foil her and hijack her career. And this album is an example as to why success is often the best resistance to adversity. The Queen of Christmas. In recent years, Mariah has finally acknowledged the nickname, the Queen of Christmas. It gives a perennial, timeless quality to her. Like the seasons we see each year, we can guarantee that Mariah shall arrive annually full of festive joy. In 2020, the LA Times called her the 21st century answer to Bing Crosby. And with Mariah hitting #1 with the Christmas classic in the UK, she made history. The song earned the title for the longest climb to #1 as it peaked 26 years after its original release. It also hit #1 again in the US, meaning the song was the last #1 of 2019, the first #1 of 2020 and the first #1 of 2021, and it became the first song to hit #1 in 3 distinct years and extended her record with the most weeks at #1 with 84 weeks. In 2020, Mariah also set a new daily streaming record for Spotify with 17.223 million plays of her holiday song. Partnering with Apple TV, Mariah released an incredible Christmas special. The production was high-end, a far cry from the low-budget mess that was common in the Stella years. A highlight of the special was the remix version of Oh Santa, featuring J Hood and Ariana. This almost Motown-like girl group vibe put to death the rumours of a feud between Mariah and Ariana. It was a welcome pop culture highlight of the year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the only time two women have ever harmonised a whistle note in contemporary pop and R&B. The festive show cost $5.4 million to produce. It was so successful for Apple TV, it went to #1 on their charts in over 100 countries. One thing I really loved about this special was that Mariah re-recorded all of her songs in her current voice. She adapted the material to highlight her vocal strengths and hide the areas that are now more challenging for her. She wasn't trying to sound like old Mariah, she was standing firm in the truth of what she's now capable of. This leads me to the next and final point. Quarantine-riah. Mariah's voice is damaged, let's not beat around the bush. Years of singing songs described by Simon Cowell as vocal suicide they're gonna wear your voice out. Much like a long distance runner will see their knees give out earlier than the average person, and when you combine that with vocal nodules, ongoing insomnia and multiple periods of extreme emotional distress plus a fondness for the odd splash, it's not surprising that there have been times when she struggled to live up to the high standards that she set. However, an accidental advantage of lockdown has meant that all of us, including Mariah, had to slow down, and this had a marked impact on her vocal health in a good way, and there have been multiple at-home performances where she sounded healthy, confident and better than quite some time, and it was fascinating to see her musical interpretive wit and strong vocal musicianship on display.
Okay, I'm here in my home studio.
Overall, as Mariah entered the 4th decade of her career, the ever-growing chart supremacy of her Christmas classic, the intimate and candid promotion of her memoir, the welcome improvement of her vocals and the movement towards better management have helped Mariah not only survive 2020, but thrive. Thanks for watching.